At this moment, the Nikon Z6 version 1 is probably the best bargain or the best bang for your buck out there. So many people are thinking, should I get the Z6 II, which came out 1 or 2 years ago and was a little bit of an upgrade over the Z6, which is now almost 4 to 5 years old. And the answer, I think, mainly comes down to this. The upgrades in the Z6 II are that it has 2 processors, 2 card slots, maybe a bit more responsive of a viewfinder, meaning this is not a camera like the Z9, which gives a live feed of what the sensor sees to the viewfinder. So for example, if you're shooting a burst, it displays the last image taken, and it sort of gives the impression that you're seeing a live view continuously. So as I said, the Z6 II has 2 card slots, and the additional card slot, the second one, is for an SD card. But you have to think, is that really worth it? Because both take XQD or CF Express Type B cards, which are much faster than SD cards, given there are quite a bit more expensive and SD cards can be had for cheap. Then again, CF Express Type B cards are probably a better investment since they're much faster, much more rugged, because they're made out of metal mostly instead of just plastic. So when it comes to card slots, I don't think it's an extra $400 or $500 over the Z6 just to get 2 card slots, since CF Express cards are very fast and a better investment overall. And when I say fast, they're not just faster in buffering, but also much faster in transferring images to the computer. So you can get CF Express Type B card readers, which can transfer up to 1 gigabit per second, I believe, or 1 gigabyte per second. So it goes pretty much to the maximum speed of Thunderbolt and whatever USB-C Type 3.2 can deliver. And that's much faster, more than 3, 4, 5 times the speed of what you could do with SD cards. When it comes to video, is that the Z62 does 4K in 60 frames per second, given that it is with a significant crop. So if you really want 4K 60, just get a Z7 II or a Z9. The 4K 60 might not be that big of an advantage since it's a crop factor anyway, and the question is, do you really want to film 4K 60 with an extreme crop, because it also means you have to change lenses, for example, if you want to get a really wide field of view. And then both cameras really have a lot of similarities, probably more similarities than they have differences. They both have the same exact body, except for the 2 card slots, the same ergonomics, and even when it comes down to autofocus, because the Z6 has had so many significant updates, firmware updates by Nikon, that with the latest firmware update, which I believe is 3.5, the autofocus is hardly distinguishable from the Z6 II. Both of them, when you want to start tracking a subject, you have to press the OK button on the back, or you can program it to another button which you prefer. So both have that sort of annoying feature where you have to press a button to start the tracking feature in the camera, probably because the processor and even the double processors that the Z6 II has are not powerful enough to continuously keep calculating autofocus, like for example a Sony A1 or a Nikon Z9, which I'm filming this on. So in terms of ergonomics, they're pretty much identical. When it comes to the body, they're identical, and I'd say I think the Z6 II goes for just under $2,000 at the moment if you buy it new, and a Z6, if you can still find them, about $1,300 to $1,400. But you can get them second hand for around $1,000, which is what I paid for this one, and it's pretty much as new. I think it had maybe 15,000 pictures on the shutter counter, which is nothing. I mean, I've seen this camera go without having to be serviced up to 500,000 even on the shutter count. So at the end of the day, I think because of the picture quality, the low noise, the ergonomics, and even the speed, if you use a good lens, you can easily get that 12 frames per second, even with tracking. So it's mostly dependent on the lens. I mean, my 70-200 2.8 easily will go to 10, 12 frames per second, even with tracking. My 51.8, which I'm filming this on, it does slow down the camera a bit, so maybe you get 6 frames per second, maybe 8, who knows. It's not bad at all. Because both cameras are so similar, and I think, looking at the differences, mostly nitpicking, I think Z6 is really the bargain even in 2023.